What is up guys, Andy Forestine Runner here, back with another video for you today, and today I want to be taking you through a more statistical, analytical kind of journey into the first 9 weeks of the marathon training that we have already been through. Now I want to say a massive thank you to my coach Doug for providing me with these statistics. If you didn't know that already, I am being coached by Doug from TMR Coaching. I am going to be putting his YouTube link in the description below, and obviously if you guys have any training inquiries or questions, I would highly encourage you guys to head on over to his channel and drop a comment on one of his videos and ask him for advice. He's an extremely friendly chap, he won't bite, and he's been good enough today to provide me with this information for me to go through. Now I did a video similar to this a few weeks back now to do with my first quarter or my first 3 or 4 months of running since being a TMR coaching athlete, and it got some good feedback from you guys. A lot of you liked it, enjoyed it, so I thought to myself, as part of this journey and me wanting to take you on every aspect of this marathon training journey, it's only fair that I show you some of this information that I've been provided, and it's really insightful, to be honest with you. It's great to learn what the body's doing, how it's coping. Now, obviously, I personally use Strava. That's what I have. But we being Doug and I, use Training Peaks. He uses that for his athletes. It gives a lot more information than just the basic stuff you get on Strava. Obviously, I'm not a Strava Premium member, but this stuff is really insightful. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the basics and then dive in a little bit deeper. Hey guys, so let's start with the basics, the overall overview of how training has been going so far. The first 9 weeks have included some highs and lows. All mileage is on screen. You can see in weeks 3 and 4 we obviously had those down weeks where we were feeling rather rough, but we picked it straight back up again. And in total, I'm just going to look at my screen here, in total we have run 375.9 miles so far, which equivalates to 604.95 kilometers, and we have climbed 17,339 foot, or the equivalent of 5,284.93 meters. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I would hope to have had some more 50 milers in there, but it is what it is. Those weeks 3 and 4 kind of, they happened. I've got to get over it. It is what it is. And obviously we've had 2 races in this time as well, which is awesome. 2 races and 2 PBs. Still smiling about it, still smiling about Sunday. So it's been a great solid start to the plan, and I think this gradual progression of mileage, as a lot of you guys know, and I do say a lot, I am a 40 to 45 mile week kind of person. That's what has fitted in my previous sort of routines, and that as of this year I have jumped up my training to 5 days a week now, so we're getting in that extra run, which is super, allowing me to push into that 50 to very close to 60 mile bracket, and I'm certainly going to need those miles during this marathon training. So those are the basics of things. Overall, really happy with how it's been so far. Obviously, we're now in the first week of the second half of training, and I'm looking to kick on again. This week is going to be another big week before we have a bit more of a chilled week next week with the Gloucester 20 race coming up. And from there, we are then going to be going all out until the Gloucester Marathon, bar the holiday week we have in April. So that's the basics, guys. Let's dive in a little bit further. Okay, let's get statistical. This is a performance management report, and my eyes are going to dart over to the screen so that I can read this and not get it wrong for you. So the blue area, shaded area, is my fitness, my overall fitness. The pink line is the fatigue, and the yellow line is my form. Interesting to look at, a bit scary to look at, but let's dissect it a little bit more. So the blue line, as you can see, has a great upward trend. Slowly but surely it's making progress. There are some downward bits as well, but obviously that's natural when we have easier weeks, recovery weeks, illness, that sort of thing. But gradually over the first 9 weeks, we are heading in the right direction, which is great. The pink line, as I said, is the fatigue. Now, as you can see with the fatigue, there are some drops in the fatigue. We expect obviously the fatigue line to kind of go with the fitness, because obviously going to be working harder, going to be working more, therefore I'm going to have higher fatigue. Where my fatigue has dropped in the first third, I think that was due to my illness. In the second was when we had that period of 4 easier days, but as you can see to the latter, the very end, that's where we ramped up the mileage. And of course my form goes completely the opposite, because obviously I'm working harder, my fatigue is greater, therefore it's harder to hold form and that sort of thing, therefore my form literally goes in the opposite direction to the fatigue. But overall, the big picture to pull from this graph in particular is the fitness that was highlighted to me, and it's great to see that going in an upward trend. Now this is an interesting graph. This is the TSS graph, the training stress score. Now, obviously, the more that we train during the marathon period, the more stress we're going to be putting on our body. And naturally, the higher mileage weeks we have, the bigger the stress. This graph pretty much trends in exactly the same. If you matched up my mileage on Strava and you looked at this graph, you can see the peaks going up and dropping based on when I was ill or when I was racing or recovering. But the stress score basically relates to how much stress you're putting on the body, how many sort of your workouts, how hard the workouts were, all of that stuff, including the fact that you're going to be running higher volume weeks as well. So interestingly, if you look at the 3 columns back from the end, those are the 3 big weeks we've had so far, the 52, 55 and 59 miles, and that obviously correlates to how much stress was on the body. That 59-mile week was a big week with that massive long run workout at the end. To be fair, all those 3 weeks have had big long run workouts. However, you can see the trend there. We're putting immense stress on the body, and then bam, we have a nice recovery week last week. Therefore, the stress on the body is a lot less. So that's another one for you. Again, another good one for you is this longest workout or longest run distance graph. Again, follows a very similar pattern to the previous graph. This one basically correlates to what your longest run was in each week. And as you can see, as we're pushing the mileage and we're pushing the distance, that trend is going up. Again, you can see the dips there from the 2 weeks we were ill, and obviously where we raced in the beginning, and also last week where we raced. That last bar graph is obviously our longest run was the 13 miles, 13.1 miles at Newport. But the 3 weeks before, we did, I think it was a 20 and a 21 and a 21, I think, around about that. So you can see again, and I'm going to give you a full all-round picture of this when we get to the end of the marathon and do a full review. So hopefully this graph will continue to grow as we progress through training. Okay guys, and this last graph is my fitness history, my peak pace by distance. This is an interesting graph, and I'm just going to read this from Doug so that there's no confusion. So this shows my best average pace for the distance that I may have run. Therefore, if I ran, for example, a 40-minute 10K in February, then in March, then my average pace would be 4 minutes per kilometre. So this basically, I'm just going to get the graph up here. This gives me an average pace over the distance. Now I want to focus your attention into the 10K column. Obviously you'll notice over time in the other columns there that we've got much shorter intervals, and obviously that's not our focus at the moment with marathon training. But if I can just take you over to the 10K column, and if you look in the month section, which is the bottom half of the graph, you'll see that we've got sort of July, August, September there, and you can see our paces for the 10K stuff was right down in the 3 something kilometers pace. And then once we finished the October and November, where we had the 2 races, we hit base training and we hit November and December, and we just kind of chilled out a little bit and did some base work, and then kick-started things back again in January. You'll see January's pace is 3:37, which is awesome because that is the 10K, the Speedway 10K that we ran. And then the best average pace that I did for a 10K in February was 3:57. So you can see what's happened there, the trend of back in the summer last year when we were focusing on those reps, when we were working up hard on the track in the summer, that pace was right down. We then chilled out, did some base work, and then we kicked on now into marathon training and bringing that pace back down. So it's great to see that trend coming back. That's what we want to see. And obviously the top half of the graph is paces broken down by week in February. So this graph is very incredible. Like, you've got the month view there, but if I wanted to show you week by week by week, I could. And you can see the paces in February are fantastic. We've got first week, it was like a 4:08, but then as we're progressing more and more and more, we've got 3:58, 3:57, 3:46. It's just this great upward trend. And those times are now starting to come down as we're getting deeper and deeper into marathon training. So another example of a very technical but great graph for us. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. That is a very technical overview of training so far. I wanted to say a massive thank you again to Doug for providing this information and statistics for me. Again, if you haven't checked Doug out already, do go so. His link is in the description below. Drop a comment on his video, let him know that you've come over from the channel, and of course subscribe to his, because he's training for UTMB at the moment, which is incredible. It's a dream race. So once again, mate, a massive thank you to you, and to you guys that are watching, thank you so much for taking an interest in this sort of stuff. I hope you enjoy it. Please do give it a like if you do enjoy this sort of video, because I'd love to be producing more of them, and especially doing them on a quarterly basis. But I'm keen to do this type of video at the end of marathon training to give you a bit more of an insight into how things have gone. So all that's left for me to say, guys, is thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, please do give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. And then you can now, of course, support the channel. Links are in the description below, and I will see you next time. Until then.